Hi, hi all the CA Foundation students. I hope your preparation is going great. Okay, we have couple of days left for the exam. I'm sure all of you are doing great preparation. So in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to go through the chapter wise weightage and important questions which we have to see before going to the exam. Okay, the important questions, and then finally the do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts just before the exam, we will discuss that as well. Quickly, we will just go through the chapter weightage. If you have seen the last two attempts, guys, last two attempts, company accounts 100% they have asked both the attempts 25 marks. So this is one chapter that you cannot skip whatsoever. Okay, company accounts 25 marks. It's at the top of the leaderboard. 25 marks from company accounts. And the second chapter, the most hated chapter, you can tell, all the CA Foundation students or most of the CA Foundation students usually skip partnership. Please do not skip partnership because it becomes a big gamble, because 20 marks is asked from partnership, but they do not put 20 marks in one question. They split it into two different questions, and with that some other chapter is also asked. So you are putting yourself at a huge risk by skipping partnership. NPO, you can expect around 12 marks from NPO. Easy questions are also asked. Okay, final accounts or single entry is usually asked. Final accounts or incomplete records is usually asked. One of the question is there in the exam. Rectification of errors, you must do it and go to the exam. Okay, 10 marks can be there, easy 10 marks into your pocket. Bills of exchange also can be asked for around 8 to 10 marks in the exam. BRS is another topic that can be asked for 10 marks in the exam. Inventory, a B category chapter, inventory can be asked 5 marks, 5 to 8 marks. Usually it is asked in the exam. Depreciation, most of the times you see depreciation in the first sub question itself. I mean, first main question itself, which is your compulsory question, which cannot be even skipped. So depreciation is the thing, and last basics can be asked for around 8 marks. So what we will do now is we will go through chapter wise. Okay, chapter wise must do questions, and we will discuss briefly what can be done as well. Must do questions, basics. Basics, what you're going to do just before the exam, just read it. Just read basics. Don't put too much pressure on yourself from the basics chapter. Accounting process. Okay, accounting process. If you talk about journal, there are those GST related journal entries which are asked. Those are important, that you cannot skip at all. In ledger, there is one ledger where they ask you to create personal accounts of two parties. That becomes very important. Trial balance, if you're talking about trial balance, they can give you a trial balance where there are mistakes and you are asked to prepare corrected trial balance. Subsidiary books, I don't see them asking anything from subsidiary books, but if at all they ask, a simple question is asked from subsidiary book, and in that there will also be items which do not belong to subsidiary book. Cash book can be asked. Okay, if they ask cash book, it can be a 3-column cash book where there is cash, discount and bank column. Rectification of errors are very important. Okay, rectification of errors, it can be in the next accounting period where you have to use P&L adjustment or suspense account. P&L adjustment or suspense account, these kind of questions can also be asked in the exam. Yes, and if you talk about BRS, these are the important questions which we have to see in BRS. In BRS, okay, OD balance, usually if they start with OD balance, there can be less adjustments. Okay, less adjustments will be there when they start with OD balance. But if they start with normal balance, then there can be more adjustments. Or there can be OD balance and adjusted cash book, or normal balance and adjusted cash book. This is what you have to see in BRS. When we go into inventories chapter, always inventories chapter, they can ask you questions where stock taking is done on 9th April, 10th April, 15th April, and they are asking you reverse calculation to find 31st March. Or they can also ask questions where abnormal sale is also there, normal sale is also there, and you're supposed to find the closing stock of the company, of the business. Depreciation. When we talk about depreciation, these are the interesting and important questions. Do not skip the practice questions. Lot of adjustments are there in the practice questions. Now, when we talk about depreciation, guys, depreciation, you remember, there are two methods. One, normal where the depreciation is reduced from the asset, that can be asked, or they can also ask you where you are supposed to prepare provision for depreciation and disposal account. This kind of questions can also be asked. Okay, do not skip these questions. These are the important questions from depreciation. Now when you go to bills of exchange, accommodation is one favorite topic of the examiner. Accommodation question is favorite, and then there is this question from Katrak's question, Bob's question. All those questions you have to see it. Without that, don't go to the exam. Final accounts. When we go to final accounts, there is a high chance that non-manufacturing can be targeted. Non-manufacturing, or there can be a big question where trading, manufacturing, P&L, balance sheet, everything is also asked, but non-manufacturing at any cost, do not skip non-manufacturing. NPO, when we go to NPO, 12 mark weightage for NPO. Okay, income and expenditure account to receipt and payment, or receipt and payment to income and expenditure. When we are in NPO, be very careful about your outstanding, prepaid, accrued income and income received in advance. These topics you have to be absolutely thorough. If you are in receipt and payment, what to do? If you are in income and expenditure, what to do? These 4 topics you have to be very thorough with it. Yes. When we go to incomplete records, there is one Anoop's problem. Do not skip Anoop's problem. It covers almost all the questions. I mean, all the adjustments it is covered in Anoop's problem. And one more thing is in final accounts, there are 2 problems very important, covers most of the tricky adjustments. One is Gavaskar's problem. Another one is Ganguly. Gavaskar and Ganguly problem you have to do. Okay. Next we go into partnership. Very, very important. From basics, what can they ask, sir? From basics, what can they ask is guaranteed profit calculation. There is one guaranteed profit calculation question that can be asked, or just interest calculation, interest on capital, interest on drawings. Those questions can be asked. In goodwill chapter, goodwill calculation with adjustments. Goodwill calculation with adjustments can be asked in the exam. What adjustments are there? Okay, the adjustments when there are abnormal items or there are rectifications to be done before calculation of goodwill, all those questions can be asked. Admission and retirement as a combo. You have to study this as a combo. If you study one of them, the other one becomes simple. In this goodwill calculation, goodwill sacrificing ratio, all this has to be computed properly. Okay, admission and retirement you have to study. Death is very unique. Okay, death questions are unique. Okay, all these death questions you have to see where different types of goodwill calculations. Some places goodwill is calculated up to the date of death. Some places goodwill calculation is till the year end. Some places profit calculation till the date of death, profit calculation till the year end. All those things are there in death. Have a look at it. And JLP, be thorough with JLP. What happens to JLP if JLP is there in the balance sheet? What happens to JLP calculation if it is not there in the existing balance sheet? Then partnership dissolution. Simple dissolution, there is a tricky question in practice question. PR means practice questions, which is there at the end. In that practice question, there are some simple dissolution questions with maximum adjustments, or you have to see those questions. Which are those questions? Where there is Garner versus Murray. Garner versus Murray rule, where one partner becomes insolvent. Garner versus Murray rule becomes applicable. Those questions also you have to see. There is one question where all the partners become insolvent. That question also you have to see. Okay, and then we have 2 piecemeal distribution questions. Piecemeal distribution can be asked, maximum loss and higher relative capital questions. Both the questions you have to see it and go to the exam. Company accounts, the chapter with highest weightage, 25 marks. From share issue and forfeiture. All these questions are important questions from share issue and forfeiture. Okay, very important. Don't skip pro rata. Pro rata plus forfeiture plus reissue. These kind of questions can be asked in the exam. Okay, when we go into debenture issue, simple question, simple chapter. Okay, this could have been skipped earlier. Students used to skip this, but now you can't skip it because debenture issue can be clubbed with redemption of debenture also. So study debenture issue as well, and then bonus issue and redemption of preference share can be clubbed, because in redemption of preference share CRR is created. In bonus issue CRR is utilized. So there can be a question where preference share redemption happens and then bonus issue happens. Clear? Redemption of debenture, when we are in redemption of debenture topic, DRR, students usually get confused with this DRR and DRR investment. These two topics you have to be very, very careful. Okay, study these. These are your important questions. In the last 2.5 days, whatever you have, these questions you have to see. If you see these questions, 100% you can score very good marks in the exam. Clear? And students, next thing we have to discuss is the do's and don'ts. Okay, do's and don'ts before the exam. First, I have been telling this in regular class as well. Go to the accounts exam expecting a lengthy paper. Expect a lengthy paper. Don't try to be extremely neat. Okay, a presentable paper is more than enough. Okay, focus on your speed. 100 marks you have to attempt. A very, very neat 85 mark paper or presentable 100 mark paper. Which one is better? Always a presentable 100 mark paper, because in both the papers, if you make mistake, it's mistake only. They are surely going to cut marks. Okay, expect a lengthy paper and go to the exam, guys. Never ever 100 marks are tricky in any paper. Any tough paper you take, okay, never ever 100 marks are tricky. There might be one tricky question. Don't panic over that tricky question. When you see that tricky question, okay, usually students, they panic, and all the other easy questions also, they make it tricky. So don't panic. Then minimum 6 hours you have to sleep, guys. Sleep 6 hours, because you have been doing preparation for a very long time now. Okay, whatever you have prepared in the last 1-2 months, okay, if it has to be retained in your memory fresh, you have to be remain fresh in the exam hall. Please sleep 6 hours. Okay, overnight, don't stay full. There are some students who will sleep like early morning and for 1 or 2 hours. Don't do that. Sleep 6 hours, go fresh to the exam hall. Whatever you have studied, it will come back to your memory. Ignore your friends after exam. What is this? After the exam, when you come out of the exam hall, okay, there might be people who are discussing. Okay, there might be people who are discussing. Your friends are not correcting the paper. No, they might tell you that this, for this you're going to get so much marks, for this you're going to get so much marks. Do not discuss. Okay, ignore your friends after the exam. Go straight to your home or PG or wherever you're staying. Go straight over there and then start preparing for your next paper. Next paper is your law exam. Take a small break, 1 hour, 2 hours, take a break and start preparing for your law exam. Do not talk to your friends. Do not discuss the paper, what they have written, what you have written. Comparing, not required at all. Okay, and very important thing, do not panic. Do not panic. I told you there might be some tricky questions. That doesn't mean 100 marks is tough. Seeing the tricky questions, don't make the easy things also which you know tough. If you panic, there are chances that you will blank out in the exam. Okay, please don't do that. You have studied very well. 100% you're going to score well in this exam. Wish you all the best for your exam, guys. Next time, if we ever talk, we should meet in interclass. See you. Bye-bye.